Hello everybody and welcome to First Chapter Friday. This book that we are reading today is called The Cheshire Cheese Cat, a Dickens of a Tale. This book is by Carmen Agra Deedy and Randall Wright, and then there are drawings in here as well by Barry Moser. So we are going to start with our first chapter. Let's see. So if you look over here, we have Ye Old Cheshire Cheese, rebuilt in 1667. That's a long time ago. So, let's see. Oh, and it looks like over here there's a list of characters, which is kind of fun. You don't always get that. So, Skilly, Pinch, Ye Old Cheshire Cheese, Pip, Nell, Cromes, Mr. Charles Dickens, Henry, Adele, Maldwin, and the Mysterious Visitor. So it looks like we're going to be seeing a couple of those characters in this book. Alright, so let's see. Here we go. Chapter 1. He was the best of Toms. He was the worst of Toms. Fleet of foot, sleek and solitary, Skilly was a cat among cats. Or so he would have been, but for a secret he had carried since his early youth. A secret that had caused him to live in hidden shame, avoiding even casual friendship, lest anyone discover. Scat, cat! A broom came down hard out of London's cold and fog. Startled, Skilly leapt sideways, and the broom whiffled empty air. The cat, however, refused to scat. He eyed the dead fish, then the broom, calculating the distance between the two. Off now, you thieving Moggy! The fishmonger shrilled. As if reading his thoughts, he kicked the fish under her stall and cocked the broom for another swing. Angry women with brooms unnerved him. The only encounter Skilly dreaded more was the one with Pinch, the terror of Fleet Street. With a flick of his peculiar tail, Skilly turned his back to the fishwife, putting all the disdain he could muster into the sway of his hips. But once he had rounded the corner, he flitted into an alley where he ran its length with darts and dashes. Pausing at the end of the passageway, he surveyed the familiar cobblestones, and his spirits lightened. Huddled over her fire on a near corner was the crone who sold roasted chestnuts for a halfpenny. A few paces from her, a boy hawked mull cider. Down the street, the song of the rag and bone man mingled with the rattle of carriages and the hum of pedestrians. Ah, Fleet Street, Skilly thought, home to some of the finest eating and drinking in London. The street was perfect gathering place for scavengers, and down a certain modest court stood a most particular pub famed as a haunt for London writers. Ye Old Cheshire Cheese. Skilly peered through his gauzy mist. The inn's hanging wooden sign twitched in a swirl of January wind. Skilly shivered and looked longingly toward the cozy tavern. There has to be a way in, he thought. Whatever is it you're thinking, don't, came the warning, followed by a soft, dangerous purr. Ah, Pinch. Skilly's tone was pleasant, but outward calm bellied the clenching of his stomach. And a fine day to you. Cold-blooded and volatile, Pinch was not a cat to be trifled with. You can keep your Pinch, and your fine day. His eyes narrowed, and the hackles on his ginger-striped shoulders rose in challenge. Just mind you keep away from the cheese. The cheese? Skilly asked, unblinking. What of it? Mice, Pinch said. Mice? Skilly's eyes widened with pretend innocence. Aye, mice. The cheese tavern is overrun with them. Ah, grandest cheese in England, or so they say. And where there's that manner of cheese, there's mice aplenty. He paused and gave a pleasurable groan. Fat and juicy, plump and round, young and tender. His nose twitched as though it could already smell a nest of baby mice. Mice aplenty, you say? Skilly interrupted. The tavern is my own. You hold your distance. Skilly sat and licked a paw, a token of his indifference. As an added touch, he stroked behind his ears. I wasn't aware you had a home, Pinch. Ah, but I do, and there's it. He nodded toward the inn. Odd that, said Skilly. A cozy tavern for a home, and yet here you sit on icy cobblestones, passing the day with the likes of me. Well, it will be my own, soon. You watch and see. The place is ate up with mice, and the master's witless for want a mouse killer. The cheese is looking for a Moser? A not unpleasant chill danced up Skilly's spine. Yes, and I'm it. Cross me and slap me, I'll rip out your... But Skilly had dropped the thread of conversation. A Moser, eh? A plan began to nibble at his mind, a plan of such elegant simplicity he was amazed he hadn't thought of it before. Stretching lazily, he rose, and with a last twitch of his crooked tail, said, You're a cat among cats, Pinch, and I thank you. For what? The ginger cat snarled after him. What I'd do? Skilly didn't answer. He was already engrossed in the audacity of a scheme so bold, so cunning, it would surely set him up for the rest of his 9 lives. So there's Skilly, and that is the end of our first chapter. And then chapter 2. So this is a super fun book. If you've ever read Charles Dickens, this is very similar to how he writes for older kiddos and grown-ups. So this is a really fun way to twist Charles Dickens and put it in the perspective of a cat. So if you are interested in this book, feel free to come over to the library and grab it, The Cheshire Cheese Cat, a Dickens of a Tale. I will see you next Friday, and I hope you have a nice week. Thanks.